Again, I call the City Council meeting for November 21st, 2017 to order. At this time, for our moment of silence, we're into Thanksgiving week. And as we start the holiday season, I think it's important to understand that in this community and in actually many of us have a lot to be thankful for. However, we have to keep in mind those that will be struggling through the holidays. Make sure we understand that as citizens of this great city, we want to make sure we take care of all the people in our community. So think of that as we move into this holiday time and realize that we have an opportunity to use the gifts we have, be good stewards of those, to reach out to our family, our friends, our community, and our world. With that, please, a moment of silence. Thank you all very much. Alderman McGinnis, would you lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alderman McGinnis. Jackie, would you please call the roll?
Ambrose.
Here.
Mattson.
Here.
Dickman. Here. Grip.
Here.
Gordon.
Here.
Kluel. Rawson.
Here.
McGinnis. Here. Tompkins.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
9 present, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Again, I want to wish you a good evening. And as we begin this meeting of our City Council, I would again like to welcome all of those in attendance and those who are viewing the meeting on television or on the internet. We respectfully welcome your comments and opinions, and please keep in mind that as you talk to the Council, you're also sharing your thoughts with fellow Davenporters and with viewers throughout the region by way of our TV broadcast. We are happy that you're participating in your city government and ask that your participation reflect the common desire we all share to make Davenport an even greater place for all of our citizens. For the children, adults, seniors, and families in our community, those in attendance and those watching at home, I thank you for joining us. At this time, we ask that you turn off or silence your cell phones and other electronic handheld devices, as they can be disruptive and interfere with the audio system here in the chambers. You will have an opportunity to address the Council under Public with Business portion at the end of the meeting, which will occur towards, again, as I mentioned, towards the end. Some of our discussion items, you'll have a chance to speak some of those as well as the meeting unfolds. When addressing the Council, I ask that you step to the podium, wait to be recognized by myself, and speak to the Council as a body and not to any single member. You're asked to limit your remarks to no more than 5 minutes, and I know that you all will, and I ask that you do, observe the commonly accepted rules of courtesy, decorum, dignity, and good taste. So thank you all again for being here. First of all, will an alderman move approval of the minutes of the council meeting on November 8th? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Do we have a city administrator update this evening?
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Will an alderman move approval of the report of the Committee of the Whole of November 15th, please? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Just a little bit of information. I know we have a lot of young people here in the chambers. We mentioned the committee, the council meeting, which was held November 8th. That's going to be similar to tonight's meeting. On November 15th, which was last week, we had a Committee of the Whole meeting, and that's one where all the items that you're seeing on the agenda were discussed in detail. If any of them we had questions on, they're on the agenda again tonight for further discussion. So just give you an idea of what's happening. And anything we approved last week, or at least brought forward last week, will be on our consent agenda, and we'll approve all of those at once. So if there's anything that had any questions or discussion needed, we're going to be discussing those more in detail this evening. But there are a few things we're going to do. First of all, we have one appointment this evening, an appointment for the Combined Construction Code Board of Appeals and Review, and we offer Todd Stack as a new appointment. Do we have a motion for? So moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Thank you. I'm going to move down. We have 2 presentations tonight. First of all, recognizing some state champions. All these are from Assumption High School. So I'm going to move down in front with the coaches, and we're going to bring the teams up, and then at the end, some of the individual state champions as well. So I'll meet the first coach, and that's going to be the girls track and field and individual champions, please. these here for you. And I think what I'll do is let you have these, and you could announce the individuals, and then we'll just get a group photo with everybody.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Thank you.
Aaron, I'll give you the whole thing, so then you can have the clip.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And I'll shake their hands here. I just want to announce it.
Okay, we don't have all of them here. Some of them have graduated, move on to college ballot. I'll list the team members, and then once you step forward, just come up and meet Mayor Clips, please. Okay, Elise Juarez, Sully Kelly, Aaron McMullen, Brooke Menke, Natalie Moore, Anna Purcell, Taylor Quick, Kaylin Stevens, Aaron Ackerman, Caitlin Ballinger, Mary Grace Carroll, Carly King, Peyton Hanley, Lauren Herrig, Emma Johnson, Livy Lansing, Leah Nelson, Vi Din, Molly Gervas, Grace Rolfe, Julia Schumacher, Elizabeth Fenley, Jasmine Harris, Billy Marzin, and Joy Ripslinger.
Let's give them a nice round of applause. I assume the rest of them are all seniors?
Some of them seniors, some of them are representing multiple sports out here too. So they're
Great,
representing
great.
soccer, softball,
That's
and
great.
some other sports.
Well, it's wonderful. And again, we congratulate those that are off in college and congratulate all these girls. Let's all get together here and we'll take a picture for all of us that are here. So let's, there we go. Great. Thank you, ladies. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
And our next group will be the girls varsity soccer for 2017.
Hello there. See you.
Full list that I have.
I'm not the coach, but I'm representing the coach today.
We'll do the same process. We'll introduce all the girls, get up for a picture, and I know same deal. Some of them have gone on and are playing in college. So we'll introduce you as you come across, and we'll line up to take a picture.
All right. Sully Kelly, Anna Purcell, Kylie Hellspring,
You can wait right over here. We're going to get a gentle picture of us all.
Molly Gervas, Caitlin Ballinger, Annie Argo, Carly King, Elia Vanek, Lauren Herrick, Bridget Poster, Shelley Moore, Kaylee Shriver, Liz Fenley, Libby Lansing, Sophia Kirsten, Abby Klosterman, Ellie Bolt, Danny Hammond, and Anna Von de Haar.
We'll get a picture. Jump in, Wade. We'll get a picture of the whole group.
Sorry, girls.
Thank you. Tall girls, Ed. Usually I don't. Give them another round of applause. Congratulations, ladies. And we have our varsity softball team. Coach, here's the whole list. Yeah. Name them all again. And again, some of them are in other groups, and some of them are in college now, and a variety of things. So,
Sophie Van Severen, Olivia Wardlow, Aaron Ackerman, Anna Wohlers, Hannah Johnson, Emma Valinas, Shannon Guy, Leah Nelson, Nicole Timmons, Hannah Kelly, Allie Courtney, Hannah Wislander, Carly Salmon, Nicole Yoder, and Olivia Allen.
jump in, Coach. We'll just get a picture over here.
Squeeze in there.
Great. Give him a nice round of applause again. Had you stand on the table.
I should have stayed on that.
And now our varsity Assumption baseball team.
Go ahead, why don't you come over first, Coach? Oh, sure. Coach BJ Eater.
I just want to note here, no, you come on over, come on over. This is, Assumption now has the most baseball state championships, 10, in Iowa State history. So let's congratulate all of them as well.
BJ Eater, assistant coach. Also Greg Tisson and Chris Dilly were assistants. Ethan Ekstrom and Nick Bill were managers on this team, are not here tonight. Players Luke Fenley, Peyton Berthel, Parker Beverlin, Connor Riley. Yeah.
Congratulations, you represent.
Ben Butel, Tyler Kolhanek, Justice Burke, Tavian Gillette, Trenton Wallace, Adam Mativier, Jackson Mincalis, Matthew Easler, Brandon Schlichting, Ryan Wohlers, Donovan Juarez, Nick Gotilla, Seth Schneiderman, Jason Willers, Nolan Melchert, Adam Sigworth, and Daniel Powers.
There you go. That's the last. All right. Okay, Dennis, let me get my head poked in here at least a little bit. There we go. Can everybody see everybody?
I'm good. As much as I can squeeze in. You got everybody? Yep.
Another round of applause. Congratulations, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it. See you again.
We have, again, some individual champions, and I think, obviously, you may have seen Joy Ripslinger's list of accomplishments. I think your sister is here tonight, is that right?
I'm going to accept on her.
Oh, great, okay. Well, Joy was the 2017 3A state champion in the 3,000-mile run, the 400-meter dash, the 800-meter dash, and the 1,500-meter dash. So congratulations, and Coach, you want to come on up and... Joy's off at Iowa, I think.
She's at the University of Arkansas.
University of Arkansas. Warmer there. So that's great. Congratulations. I know you'll pass it along to her. Thank you. And we have one other, just our two individual wrestling champions, Matt Robertson at 132 pounds and Julian Broderson at 160 pounds. Are either of those two guys here? If they are, come on up. And Pete Bush. Hi, Pete. Good to see you. Congratulations, Coach.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much.
Congratulations. So we'll get a picture of all of us here and get Coach in the end there. Congratulations. There you go.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Mr. Craig, thank you for bringing all the student athletes here, and congratulations to you and the program and all the kids that couldn't be here this evening as well. So thank you very much. Again, I think we want to move on to our other presentation this evening, and that is the I-74 Mississippi River Bridge project update. You know that's an important impact for our community, and I think we're going to get a little program for that. Is there someone? Here we go. Great. Come on up. Just so you know, as a community, we've been getting updates as to the progress, and now we thought we'd bring an expert to give us an update on where we're going. So you may introduce yourself and
Sure.
we'll go from there.
So I'm Danielle Mulholland. I'm the I-74 project manager for the Iowa DOT. And I'm here to give an update on the corridor as a whole for both states and all the cities in the Quad City area. So as we all know, this is a joint effort between Iowa and Illinois DOT. Iowa DOT is leading the effort from everything from the south bank of the river north into Bettendorf at this time. Here's a list of all of the contracts that are awarded to date. This is roughly just over $500 million of contract money that's awarded in our area. So that's a pretty impressive amount of work. We're doing DB outreach for these, holding a couple of workshops that we attended early on, and also there are a few more lettings yet to be determined in Bettendorf on eastbound 74. This is the project timeline. We're currently in phase 2, construction of the bridge and reconstructing I-74 from Avenue of the Cities in Moline to Middle Road in Bettendorf. The area that is called phase 3, which would be north of Middle Road, is not currently in the 5-year program, but funding is being determined for that area as well as the next priority for the I-74 corridor. One of the major impacts that once the construction that we're seeing now will start to branch out into a larger footprint in the Quad Cities area is in 2019 when local traffic is maintained on the bridge, but through traffic is detoured around the perimeter of the Quad Cities. And at that time, we'll maintain one lane over the river to keep access to downtown Bettendorf, Moline, Davenport, but the through traffic is encouraged to use I-280 and I-80 during that time. And one of the offsets of doing this is how we got the corridor schedule down to 3.5 years, was this one construction season of pretty heavy interstate traffic impacts. Here's a little bit about what's going on today. Bridge construction is going well, especially in Bettendorf. They're advancing quite a bit ahead of the schedule on some of the piers and land, so that's really good news. We're continuing to be on schedule on the other corridor projects. In the river, we're drilling shafts in the main arch foundations. They're actually going to start footing construction. They started building cofferdams for that this week, so we're really getting into hopefully some stuff that we can see. The stuff is above water to make this really feel good about what's going on. In the river, there are 239 drilled shafts. They're 7 to 10 foot in diameter, and they're roughly 20 to 30 feet deep. So these are very large structures. It doesn't look like a lot on the surface, but there's quite a bit going on underneath the water that we're not able to see readily. So with those efforts, we continue to reach out into the community and make sure that the project is going to be successful, and everyone's aware of what's going on. That's why we're talking about 2019 detours and traffic impacts now. We're coordinating with MABUS 43 and other emergency services to make sure that we're adequately prepared if there were, an emergency situation in the river, that we know what to do and how to respond to that. So the other thing, we meet with all the local entities monthly to talk about how their road construction impacts I-74 construction and how we can better communicate and coordinate those efforts. So that's something we've started very early on to continue and make sure 2019 runs as smoothly as possible. We also meet with Bi-State, MetroLink, and others to make sure that everything is all going according to plan. It's a tight 3.5 year plan. We have a project website that also includes a webcam for construction, and we've also held media outreach and news conferences to get the word out about current traffic impacts. There was quite a bit of construction in Moline at 19th and 7th that is in preparation for this 2019 work. So that's all stuff that's going on today. We've also got a large social media presence. I think it's good, a nice way to help the community embrace what we're doing, and there's a lot of interest in that. So we've got Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn, along with the website. So it's a great opportunity for everyone to stay involved and keep updated on what's going on in the community and with the project. So I think that's a nice thing that we've got going to help help us. We also have a speakers bureau. I gave a presentation to some school-age kids about how to build a bridge. So that was a real nice way to connect, at the youngest levels of the area, how to, the importance of the project and what a great asset it is for the Quad City region. So I hope that I have opportunities like that to continue. That was one of my more fun presentations. And with that is my update.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that update. Again, it's very important to all of us. And as you know, we'll be getting continue. We may have you come back once in a while and give us further updates. That would be great.
Anytime.
Thank you very much. Next, we have petitions and communication from the council members and myself. We're going to start with Alderman Rawson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to wish everyone a very safe and happy holiday season. Be good to each other. If you can take a moment and do something kind and unexpected for someone who isn't expecting it, that would also be wonderful, and it's also feel good. So have a safe holiday.
Thank you, Alderman Rawson. Alderman Madsen.
Thank you. I guess Ms. Spiegel or Public Works. So I had a neighborhood meeting last night, and I know we discussed it before, the Western Alley, and I know it's kind of on the list to think about, but I go up and down it about once a week, and they pointed out a lot of good places, but the alley needs work. So I'm asking if we could get that on some kind of plan or timeline to get that worked on, because the amount of traffic that has went on that and the amount of construction and the amount of everything, it's really beat it up bad. And so there was a lot of concern about that. So I know there's alley things, but this is a different one because of the amount of construction, both our stuff, city construction stuff, and all the other stuff that went on with the building. So, and then the street, the Western Street, which is the street on the other side of the houses, had a lot of the folks going around that way. So that's been beat up between Central Park and Columbia. So I'd ask that at least the alley get on the list to get some good work on it, and then the street take a look at. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick items, and maybe most importantly, some of you may have heard about two of our officers who, again, put themselves in harm's way, and in deference to them and respect to them, I'm not going to talk about their names right now, but I think it is important to understand that this is another example of our police officers putting themselves out there, protecting us. You can read the story and you'll hear more about it, but they're both doing well. They're recovering, but this is the kind of situation that we need to continue our thoughts and prayers and long-term support because it's a traumatic event for them as well, and they did their duty. And I want to reach out and thank them for that and their families and the long-term support of our department that we provide. On a much lighter note, the Festival Trees Parade, I wanted to compliment my other 4 mayors from the area. We judged the event. It was a cool, brisk morning, but it was a lot of fun. A lot of people were there, and I think we were surprised. I want to thank the staff. I know a number of the staff. Jackie was there in the parade, Tiffany and many others, pulling the balloon that we were responsible for in the city, and it was a great event. A lot of people were there, kicking off the holiday season. And just one other item, this Thursday will also be the 31st annual Turkey Trot in downtown Davenport, the McCarthy Bush YMCA Turkey Trot. So that's become a holiday family event for a lot of people. So seeing no other comments, we're going to move on to 2 items on a discussion agenda for this evening. These were 2 items that were on the agenda last week, and there was more questions that came up. So with that, you're going to see one has a second consideration, one is a first. That means that it takes basically 6 weeks. We have a committee of the whole meeting, then a council meeting, and we do that 3 times with these kind of items. So this is the second consideration for one, and I'll read that now, and then we'll move on from there. This is, again, second consideration for ordinance for case number REZ 17-10, request of Women in Spiritual Hope Ministries Incorporated to rezone 7,847 square feet, more or less, of property located at 5210 North Division Street from R4 Moderate Density Dwelling District to R5M Medium Density Dwelling District. Is there any public with comments? Whoops.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Lynn Johnson, Executive Director and co-founder. I just wanted to update the board. We were asked to get an inspection done on that property, and I met with the city zoning, Tony Hutt, and were unable to get access to the building. But he did assure me that in 2015, an inspection was done on that house, and the requirements by him were met and made at that time. So we are unable to get access to that house at this time, and will be willing to do the inspection and had planned on doing an inspection before we did any renovation or updating of the house for our purposes. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or discussion by any of the aldermen? Hearing none. Oh, I'm sorry. Alderman Mattson.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, staff, is there a reason particular to why we didn't do an inspection? Because I'm concerned with the 3 bedrooms in the basement and access and stuff. I mean, help me understand that. If you can't answer it right now, we'll look forward to an answer shortly, but this is a vote, so.
So it sounds like there were not keys to actually obtain access into the property.
So the owner, nobody's there? What? I mean, okay. I mean, this seems weird. But.
I'm sorry. The owner lives in Muscatine. Well, and not the owner. The owner actually lives in California. And she has an estate person out of Muscatine. And it has gone into foreclosure. And so the bank, PennyMac, has taken over and taken her locks off and put their locks on at this time. So we are not able to get in touch with them at this time. We've reached out to them and have not been able to reach them.
Thanks.
Alderman Rawson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I actually was going to say similar to Alderman Mattson, but in addition, so Nicole, the head of Public Works, did indicate that we would have some sort of inspection report by our next meeting in December, our first meeting in December. So I'm wondering if that is sufficient time to obtain access to the structure, or can somebody on staff find that out and get back to us at some later point? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Alderman Tompkins.
Thank you. If there's an issue in regards to getting into this property, is there something that we can put somehow in writing that they are willing to have an inspection and obviously make sure that this property meets the order or meets the rules?
I would think based on the previous request of the council, if we can't obtain access to complete the inspections, we would request a table until we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other comments by council? Hearing none, a roll call, please.
Dunn,
Yes.
Ambrose,
No.
Mattson,
No.
Dickman,
Yes.
Grip,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Rawson,
Yes.
McGinnis, Tompkins.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
7 yeses, Your Honor, 2 nays.
Thank you very much. The next is a first consideration for ordinance case number REZ 17-05 of Stephen and Meredith Hirsch for the rezoning of .65 acres, which is 28,340 square feet, more or less, of real property located at 5135 Marquette Street, south of West 53rd Street and east of Marquette Street, from R1 low-density dwelling district to an R3 PUD or plan unit development to facilitate development of 4 residential units. Is there any public with comments this evening? If you would, please identify yourself and your address.
My name is Matt Hirsch. I'm actually representative of my parents, Steve and Meredith Hirsch. This is my brother, Brian. I actually live at the property next door to the one that is looking to be rezoned or changed as far as the zoning on it. What we are looking at, we can kind of have some photos here of kind of what's going on. I know you guys had a file folder that kind of showed what was going on with it, but I think there was some questions that I had gotten. We would have been here the previous go-around. We kind of got shifted out with the mailings and stuff. But we'd like to be able to show you and kind of tell you what we're looking at doing with the property. What we've got.
Excuse me, do we need any help getting that started?
I don't know. We're getting there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Basically, yeah, that one right there. This is a home that I live in right next to the property, and we're basically looking to stay in kind of the same genre of home that will be put onto the property next door. This home has been in our family since the 40s. We don't plan on going in anywhere. I plan on this kind of forever home sort of scenario. The property next door is looking at 3 to 4 unit villa. This is the home that's next door to us. It was brought in the mid-70s. It's a modular home. We're looking to move this to a property over on Pine Street that we own, renovate this home up, make it more of a family home. Right now it's a very small modular home. But with the property then that's left, we're looking to put in a 3 to 4 unit villa setup, which you can kind of go down through. We're looking to put my folks into one of the units on probably close to this side. This is kind of a direction of what we're going. It would be like an arts and crafts style home unit. What we're doing, it'd be 1 to 2 driveway setup. The homes sit fairly far back from the street. There's about a 75-foot setback into where the front of the homes are, so there's enough room for a single driveway to split out and go to multiple driveway or accesses as far as drives. Here's kind of the layout of the building onto the property. It does fit onto there. There can be modifications depending if we go like a 3 villa versus a 4. It basically kind of right now we're kind of free-forming as to what we're going to put onto it. It's one of these where once we got the zoning change, we can then look at getting an architect in and designing out. What we're looking at as far as these units is around a $250,000 range per unit. They're going to be ADA compliant. We're looking at more the baby boomer generation as to what we're looking for the other units that'll be in there. So it'd be 2 to 3 more units, and those units that we're looking to put in there will kind of help pay for my parents' place on the end. So it's kind of a, help situate it through. But we're not looking to do low income. We're not looking to be, a rental, a duplex, or anything of that nature. We're looking at a higher end and a very much, representative to what you're seeing here. The homes around it that were kind of in an overview onto it, you can kind of see situate out, but this is an overview of the property that's there. So, I mean, mature trees and all that, we're looking to keep all those. Those were actually planted by our grandparents. So basically most of what you see there when we moved in there was cornfield and stuff when we have developed over the years. The other properties around it, across the street, are already zoned R3. The ones across the street are also. The one on the corner was changed this previous year, and we're looking for just a consideration to have that same change is what we're looking at. But yeah, as you can kind of see, that's where the property sits and where we're at.
Yeah, we're just actually looking for the same consideration that you offered Mr. Nix in the past 6 months here. If you notice that corner property up there, that's already changed from R2 to R3. You guys had already voted that one through. Again, we're just looking for the same consideration you gave him. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public?
Good afternoon, Alderman Ronald Voorhees, 1135 West 53rd Street. Okay, I don't know if you people are aware, but there's 2 intersections of 53rd and Marquette. One's got a grass area into it, and the main one that's a 4-lane is the one that is the main one. You come back to the south about 200 feet, there's another intersection of 53rd and Marquette. Get your Google Maps out and look, people. That's a grassy area. How are they going to put 2 driveways into an intersection? That's my first question. If you have not got plans to put up there yet, how does the neighbors know what in the world you're even going to do? And when I went back, on Scott County website, okay, and I brought that address up, it tells me that that house was built in 1949. And that the land is worth $31,000, the house is worth $60,000. And they're going to put, I believe he just said, $260,000 apartment or a structure there. That's more than Mr. Nix is going to put in there by $100,000 roughly. And like the one alderman said last week, well, those houses around there are worth $230,000. You know what? I would love to sell mine for $230,000 because you know what? That'd be 110% profit I would make. And the house that I own is one of the original farmhouses that was out there. Actually, when mine was built, my garage was a house. Then they built the house. My lane used to go to 51st Street. That's how long it's been there. And us neighbors, yes, there's got to be changes. But like I said, you got some property coming up that's going to be available to the general public to buy. We don't want something like this here. We got enough issues in the neighborhood starting. Ask your public works people about the lighting issues. They're up there how many times? And on the nursing home, their employees do not walk out singly. They take another person with them. And now you want to add all this stuff in onto that? And I can't see how you're going to put two driveways into an intersection that's got a green area into it. Now, I'm just not, and I have never got nothing in the mail from these people. And I live within 200 feet. And like I said, go ahead and pass it. I would love it. Because then me and my banker's going to have a hard talk, because I'm going to be the next one to be building, because I'll take my money then and I'll go back home. I'm old enough to retire. I'll go home. I'll live very, very comfortably, you know. Because if these people are talking this kind of money, man, I just don't see it in the neighborhood. And besides, if you would hold a council meeting at 5 o'clock in the morning, the elderly people would be here. They go to bed at 5 o'clock at night. That's why you don't see them here. And my neighbor's 93 years old, and the ones way down the street, not down the street, but my next door neighbors, they're within their 80s. We don't want the neighborhood to change. We're old-fashioned. We just want a comfortable neighborhood to stay the same, and we realize Mr. Nick's going to change it. He hasn't even started nothing yet. And we're thankful because we're buying our time until he moves a big end loader in there and starts his project. But we just don't want more changes because it's going to create more issues, and we can't see where the people's going to want to spend $280,000 for a condo or apartment or whatever. It's just not there, people. So I hope you're with a lot of us neighbors, which has voted no. Please don't let this go through, because I don't want to have to go home and get money with the banker so I can start my project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public? Yes, ma'am. Name and just as an understanding, this is a 5-minute deal, and that was fine.
And I
Great. No, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure you were aware.
Yeah,
That's fine. Thank you.
I'm going to read from my notes. I went through these.
That's fine.
earlier.
No. You take what time you need there.
My name's Shelby. I'm on behalf of my grandma. She lives at 5115 North Marquette, it's right next door to the Hirsches that are there. I am here tonight to strongly, I guess, ask for you to get rid of this. I want to first mention how this agenda was handled. There was no notification to the residents in the area that there was a vote coming up. This matter was tabled indefinitely on August 1st, and without ample time for neighbors to speak up and give their thoughts and petition, it was brought up again randomly October 3rd for a vote. Like he said, how are neighbors in protest of this supposed to voice their opinions and feelings without actual notice? And like he also said, these people are in their 80s. My grandma is 87, 83. I mean, she's an older lady. All the neighbors in that area, I'm sorry, I'm kind of nervous, is 70 and up. They're older families. They're older people that have been there for years. And they can't come to these meetings at night, just like he said. It was supposed to be tabled indefinitely. Instead, it got voted on and nobody got to speak. The city dropped the ball on notifying all the neighbors in the area. We also walked around the neighborhood, and in less than a half hour last week, we were able to get 10 of the 12 neighbors' signatures in a petition against this rezoning. It would have been more, but a few neighbors were not home. If these members had proper notifications, they would all have either written a letter, gotten a petition going themselves, or attended a meeting if they could, as we and Mr. Voorhees have done. I feel this is being rushed through with no real consideration to what detrimental changes would take place in the small and safe neighborhood. There are several reasons not to rezone, but mine are as follows. There's a significant increase in population for a very small area. There's a creation of safety hazards due to increased traffic, an increase in number of students in the area. There's a lack of recreation for a planned unit development. There's also no sidewalks. I actually have pictures, but if you look out there, he showed a very pretty picture of the house. There's no sidewalks. There's no curbs. There's no streets. There's nowhere for anybody to really walk, and I don't know how they're going to put a driveway in that area, considering there's no streets to end up on. They're going to end up on off-street parking unless they can be in those small driveways. And if you're talking about a fourplex, that's 4 different cars, 8 different cars that are all going to be parked in those 2 driveways. There's no way, and there's nowhere to park for them at all in the area. There's also the property values I feel will decrease. I think the crime rates will increase. There's no room for a big, huge multi-family unit in that small area. There's just nowhere to put it. Those records show that the same Hirsches that are actually asking for this also used 4 of those reasons to go against the Knicks. If you look at public record, they used those first 4 reasons that I gave were on their list to go against the Knicks' order. And why is it now that they're asking for the same consideration when they for the same reasons wanted it to not happen with the Knickses? The reasons he gave show in his own words why the rezoning is a bad idea, and now they want to do something that's much worse, and it doesn't really make sense to me. If bettering the neighborhood is the idea, then build a single-family homes and resell them. Get some new families in the area, but don't build multi-family homes to make a quick buck. I feel in this case that that's what they're doing. If it's for their parents, why not just build a single-family home for his parents? Why not just take that smaller home that's already there and build it and fix it and make the property a good property? Why change it into something that they don't need, you know? I also want to know, I have more questions. Are these multifamilies going to be owner-occupied? He did say they're going to be in one of them, but who's going to be in the other 4? Why have the other 4? If it's going to be just for his dad and his parents, why go and make it to a multifamily unit? That doesn't make sense. There's no reason for it. I also wanted to bring up that there's no traffic lights in that area. There's no traffic signals. There's just one small one at the corner. There's no crosswalks. There's nothing for anybody that's going to be in the area that might be visiting or living in those units. He did mention a building plan, but I don't see a building plan. I just see stock photos. And, you know, I can bring pictures that are there, too, of a nice, pretty picture, but I have pictures on my phone, which I would love to show you, but I can't do it this way, of the neighborhood and where he's talking of there's trash. There's 4 or 5 cars parked in the lot at his house right now. And he wants to upkeep and say, oh, I'm going to fix it, I'm going to fix it. No, there's a trailer, there's an RV, there's 2 other cars parked in the grass. Why would you want that kind of stuff out there in a nice neighborhood? You wouldn't. I guess that's pretty much it. I feel the neighbors all need to see what actually is being planned, and by not showing them pictures of a stock, I show them seeing actual plans written out of what exactly is going to be built and why they feel that they need to have a fourplex when a single-family home for his father is much easier, and you don't even have to change the rezoning. You just take that house, rebuild it, and make it something that's beautiful and actually adds to the neighborhood and doesn't change it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Deb Lapshire, and Peggy Lorenz is my mom. And the one thing I really wanted to say is that I really would like to have you oppose this. This was all handled so badly. You know, it was brought to the council on August 1st, and staff recommended that it be tabled indefinitely until they supply a site plan. And even as this, there's no really site plan. You know, there's pictures, but there's not any actual site plans, nothing showing what's going to go there. And I think that that's important. That's part of our council rules, the zoning, that we're supposed to have those things before anything can be passed. So that needs to be done. And as she said, I echo the same thing. Why do we have to have all of the fourplex there? Why can't we just have the one for his parents? Why does it have to? Are they selling the other three? Are they renting the other three? He said they were using them to pay for his parents. And that lot is so small. I don't know if any of you have even gone out there and looked, but it is so small. I can't even imagine putting a fourplex on it. And then if you put where Nix's is an eightplex, that thing is just going to be enormous. There's not room for all of those things, for the population, for the increase. I mean, each one of those fourplexes could have, each one of those could have 6 people in it. And we're talking about just on that less than almost about half an acre, I think, you know, like 24 extra people. And it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And I guess the other thing that I'm concerned about is that just prior to this meeting, Matt Hirsch went and spoke to my mom without anybody there to try and convince her to withdraw her objection. And I told her, you know, I told Matt that, you know, they don't need to go there and harass these people. He was going to go and also talk to Mrs. Baker about it. And I just think, what kind of person is that? I just don't think. He should have been at the meetings like everybody else has had to do. And I urge you to please vote it down.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public?
Hi, I'm Mackenzie Lopshire. My grandmother lives at 5115 Marquette Street. There are several things that need to be answered and considered before a vote can be rightfully done. I'm asking the council to delete this rezoning ordinance from the agenda until these questions be answered in full. The neighbors all need to see what is being planned, how it will change their property values, the traffic and safety as a whole. The neighbors need to be able to voice their protests and opinions fairly, which means that they need notice. Sneaking a rezoning ordinance into a meeting and giving notice to a neighborhood is not the right way to handle this. I want to take a minute to speak about my grandparents, Kenneth and Peggy. They have lived at 5115 North Marquette for over 60 years. My grandfather built that home with his own 2 hands. When they were first married, they lived in a smaller house, which is now the garage. While the house that we now see was built, there's nothing but farm families around them, and they chose the spot for a reason. They chose that spot because the area was beautiful. It was meant to be a neighborhood for families to raise their kids safely. He helped build many of the homes in the area. This home and other homes in the area contain so much history, and this history means a lot to many people. I also would like to mention the petitioners have no concern for the families that are currently living in the homes in the area. These people actually have been harassing my grandmother and pressuring her to sell her own home when they're in town and visiting family. What are they planning for the area that they need my grandmother's home? I promise that I will be down here at every meeting to voice my concerns as long as it's being considered. Again, there are several big questions that need to be answered before a vote can be rightfully done. I'm asking the council to delete the rezoning request ordinance from the agenda until all these questions have been answered in full and the neighborhood is notified and has ample time to respond. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public? There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion from the alderman? And I see Alderman Mattson.
Thank you, Your Honor. So Mr. Hirsch, we talked, and I'll probably ask some of the same questions that I asked, so we know what we're going to talk about. So I'll call you up in a second, okay? So reference Mr. Nix's property. Me and Mr. Nix walked to all the neighbors and you remember that because you came out and kind of said something to us when we were doing that, right? And I remember Mr. Voorhees, I sat in your house for a lot, so we went and talked to all the neighbors, and initially they were not okay with it, but then it worked out. But you were solid against it. Okay, so I remember that. So, and he had a lot of things he worked through, and he had a lot of meetings. So, Mr. Hirsch, if you want to come up, that's okay. I'll ask a few questions. And basically, they're going to be the same ones. We had a good conversation on the phone the other day, but I want to make sure if there's something's changed, if you had a chance to think about it, so I understand fully what's up. Okay, so reference of pictures and stuff and an architecture drawing. Where'd you get those pictures, and how do you did you have an architect help you with those, or did you measure it out, or how'd that come to be?
What we've done, the pictures that you were seeing there were ones that would work with the size of the lot that's there and allow still room around it. Like I described, I mean, for what we're looking to put on that property, we are looking to do an architectural home. I mean, that's designed for the property and gives us the most, look and design that works for it. We, though, are not looking to put that money out yet until we know that it has been rezoned and moving forward onto it.
So where'd you get those pictures?
These ones were from different sites as far as architectural sites online, and then some of
Okay.
the ones were through
Okay,
Center and stuff.
fair enough.
The site plan was
Okay.
What's that? Townsend Engineering, Kevin down
Did
there.
that for you?
Yeah, had done the site plan and stuff.
So you had
and
that done.
Had
Okay.
looked at it, and basically it just, had said this is the size unit you can put on there. You can go smaller. You can play with it.
But they drew it up for you.
Oh, yes.
Roger that. Okay, thank you. What other projects around Davenport have you built like this?
This would be a first as far as building in Davenport. We are more a smaller residential remodel company. We do a lot of kitchens, bathrooms, and that sort of scenario.
Right.
We've done, Waterford Dental, Crow Creek Dental. We did those as far as renovations on those. Like I said, we
So you haven't built any, you've done renovations.
No, we've
Fair
done
enough?
renovations. I've been in the past. I mean, like when I was living in Montana, I did build homes up there with Northern Homes,
Okay.
Marcus up there.
So Northern Homes in Montana?
Yes.
Okay. So who's your developer and contractor?
I would be, as far as the GM or general contractor.
The contract. Do you have a
Yes.
license as a contractor?
Not with Davenport. We are, a smaller company right now.
So you don't have a
I mean,
contractor license?
We are going to, if it comes down to, as far as I will hire out as far as subs and that for the job and that.
So you haven't built anything and you don't have a contractor license? Okay, thank you. Who have you talked to as far as neighbors, as far as brought into the understanding of what's going on?
When this originally was started out to go through, we had sent out the letters as far as to the neighbors and have, gone through on.
Have you met with any?
Yeah, the I can't pronounce his last name, Golowski.
The neighborhood across the street?
The neighbor.
I know who you're talking about.
He had come over when
Right.
we did the site meeting and stuff. And what was it?
That was back in June, by the way.
Right.
Okay. And at that time, he had voiced his concerns on it as far as the large unit, and as far as
Right.
access to it and stuff.
Okay. So no one else you've met with? Because we talked about that too, right? Getting that to have happen and talk with everybody and.
Well, that was, when I talked to you on Thursday there,
Right.
you'd said about.
Yep, trying to set something up.
You would get something, out to me. I gave you my email address,
Yep.
and it said about.
So you're still willing to do that?
Would like to take a meet with it and
Okay.
go forward with it.
Okay. So thank you for answering those questions. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Mattson. Alderman Dickman.
Quick question for a couple questions for staff. When did we send out the 200-foot notice?
I'm Matt Flynn, Community Planning and Economic Development. I didn't quite catch all your questions.
Sorry.
When did we send?
When did we send out the 200
The
notice?
notices that have been sent out were, first of all, the Hirsches sent out a notice to the properties within 200 feet that we provided them that list. Then we, staff, sent out a notice before the Plan and Zoning Commission public hearing. And then again, we sent out another public hearing notice before the council public hearing, which was a couple weeks, or more like a month ago.
Okay. That was it then, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next, Alderman Grip.
Thank you. So the first thing I want to talk about is process, and I don't want the conversation to be this was being snuck through. The conversation wasn't had. We're in the first consideration. We have a 6-week conversation to take place. I thank the neighbors for coming out, for voicing your concerns. They're valid concerns. That's what we're here to listen to those concerns and make a decision based on the facts that we hear. I'm looking at the list of people that the letter went out to and the protest rate, and some of you are saying you weren't informed when this went out. In fact, the address that you stated when you came up here is on the yes, you protested this rate. So you're having your voice heard. Let's have that conversation and go forward from there. I do think we have an issue with the tabling. When we table something, either for a week, 2 weeks, or indefinitely, when we bring it back, we can do better of making sure that all the parties involved. Now, I understand that mailing directly to folks' home is a cumbersome process, but with technology being what it is, we can do better, and I would encourage CPED to figure that out, because we need to take away that conversation and then be able to look at these cases on their merit. I guess my only question from Mr. Hirsch is if you have a timeline. Okay, and so the reason why you would be seeking the rezoning this early in the process is that you want to ensure that you would be able to do what you want to do without sinking your resources into it. Okay, understood there. The other thing I wanted to point out, and my computer is acting a little goofy here. Page 1 is in black right now, but one of the 3 provisions is basically that if we approve this rezoning at any point, you have to bring your actual plan back to us. Can you come up to the mic, Mr. Hirsch? Thank you. So one of the agreements within this is that say that the rezoning is passed by the council.
There would be one that would come through, and that was part of the bit where it would be a final rendering as far as the actual setup of what's going on there would all have to be gone through and approved. Yeah. We were looking more at the fact of just going through and getting the zoning set up onto it and moving that forward.
So what it says is that the final development plan substantially conforms to the proposed renderings and site plan. The pictures, the pretty pictures that you've seen us, you have to come back and show us that you're actually going to build that. And then the second one would be that significant deviation from the proposed renderings and site plan would require a revision to the concept plan following the rezoning process with public hearing. Yes, so it would have to come back to us if you were going to do something differently from what's in there.
Yes.
Okay.
I understand that.
That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Grip. Alderman Tompkins.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a question for staff. Thank you. Just a process question brought up in regards to the contract license. What is typical for that? Is that something that is that part of our process? Is it typical that people can contract out? If you could provide some clarification, that would be great. Thanks.
I think I could answer that question, but I'm going to defer to Public Works as far as who actually needs a contractor's license to do work in the city of Davenport.
Thank you.
I've got an email from Nicole that I can forward to all of you, but it's not required that somebody that would be seeking a rezoning has to have a contractor license. Just like I can work on my basement and I can pull those permits, but I can follow up with more information from Public Works on that.
That's all I needed. Thank you.
Alderman McGinnis.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm sorry for going back to this, but I did have a question. I understand the protest rate coming out of P&Z, and I understand there was a tabling and then it came back up, and there's a question about that. But the protest rate was something over 11%, and that, and so whatever that protest rate is, at the time the first public hearing is set with the city council, that locks the protest rate. That's what I read. That's correct? And so the question in my mind then is if there were some confusion about, because there was a delay, because there was a tabling at P&Z, and people perhaps didn't realize they needed to file that protest. Now, once it's gone through P&Z, and now it's with us, they have no chance to come back, and this is also a process question. I mean, it's a little messy.
Alderman McGinnis, I believe I understand your question, and Matt can correct me if I'm wrong, but the protest rate is fixed at the time of the public hearing when it closes, the council public hearing at committee of the whole. So people up until that closed could have submitted a protest. So they would have gotten the notice of the council's public hearing and still had time to protest.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Dunn.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm just curious, in the plan and zone packet, it says two unit buildings. Can somebody address
that? Yeah, I think that was a good catch. I think what was represented up to this point was that the vision was two unit buildings, 4 units total. Again, the way that a planned unit development process works is to get through this initial step, which would, again, through the simple site plan that Townsend Engineering did and the, I'll say the architectural depictions, kind of sets the stage for what ultimately would be a final development plan. And that would come back. There would be another not be a public hearing, but it would come back through P&Z and the council, so there'll be another chance to adopt the final version. In terms of whether or not I think in the preliminary there talked about 4 units. So I would think that the commission would see that as a maximum number of units, whether or not they're all in one building or 2 buildings. I think that we'd have to wait and see what would come back with the final development plan.
So the site plan I'm voting on is 1 box, or could be 2?
I think what's shown there would be the building envelope, whether or not there'd be 1 building or 2 buildings within that.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Alderman Ambrose first, for his first opportunity first. Alderman Ambrose.
Thank you, Honor. We got a great zoning process, and we take incredible pride in our transparency and good communications. Unfortunately, it seems that this one has gone off the rail. It was tabled indefinitely. It comes up kind of under the radar. We asked to be tabled to allow the neighbors to have communication. Doesn't sound like there was any communication. So, I can't support this as the way it's rolling out. I think it should go back to square one and go through the zoning process again.
Alderman Mattson, we'll go another time.
Thank you, Mayor. Reference Ms. Spiegel. The concern I have with the license, he says he's the builder. Okay, I get the license if you're doing a little renovation, but he's the builder and he's the developer, according to him. Okay, so that's a big difference to me. And then, this process is a mess. They didn't know. I went around to everybody and asked for a letter and said, did you know about the public hearing for this place? No one knew. So to hold a protest rate against a possible letter that came out, that I can't find anybody who got one. I've asked everybody to show me if you got one. No one can show me. So if that went out, which I'm not sure it did, that's a concern. And to hold the rate to that when no one can say they got a letter is a concern. So I think we need to vote this down. That would give him a year. He says he's on a timeline of 3 years. That would give him a year to get his licenses, get his everything in order, and you bring it back to us in a year with all your processes done and all your site plan and everything squared away. Then we start fresh. We look at it again, and all these questions, that gives you a year to take care of everything if we vote it down. I think that's since you said 3 to 4 years, I think a year is a reasonable time, because you're not going to do anything building this winter or next year. So, Council, I'd ask you to vote it down. Then he can bring it back in a year, and all the questions will be taken care of. That'd be my recommendation.
Okay. Anybody else from the council with a question or a comment? Seeing none, we will move forward with a roll call, please.
Ambrose,
No.
Mattson,
No.
Dickman,
No.
Grip,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Rawson,
Yes.
McGinnis,
No.
Tompkins,
Yes.
Dunn,
No.
4 yeses and 5 noes.
Okay. Then it has not passed, yes. So we will move on. And again, I think this issue, if it comes down to that point of you coming back in a year, getting the information, we'd love to see development in the community. This gives you time to do that. And again, I think the window that you talked about, this may fit. So thank you all very much. We're going to move on now. Our next item is the approval of all items on the consent agenda.
The consent agenda.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mattson,
Yes.
Dickman,
Yes.
Grip,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Rawson,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Tompkins,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
9 yeses, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Again, we have some other ordinances, resolutions, and motions this evening. First of all, a motion to suspend the rules to add and vote on the following resolution.
Move to suspend.
Let me read it, if I may, quickly. Resolution set up a public hearing to convey land to ARCP and JDDPT IA01 LLC. Is there any public with comments? Seeing none, thank you. Now we'll move forward. Is there, I see it in Alderman?
We're on the motion to suspend.
Yes. Motion to suspend. Is there a second? Second. Roll call, please.
Dickman,
Yes.
Grip,
Yes.
Rawson, Gordon.
Yes.
Rawson,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Tompkins.
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Mattson.
Yes.
9 yeses, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now we're voting on the actual action.
Now, Your Honor, you can read the caption and ask for public comment.
Okay. The resolution approving internal advance to the TIF increment fund for administrative costs, and there's a motion approving submission. Yes, I'm sorry.
We're still on the resolution setting a public hearing to convey land to ARCP
Yes, I'm sorry.
JDDPT IA01 LLC.
Gotcha. Now, is there public with comments? Yeah, what he said. Yeah, that alphabetic nightmare. Yes. Any public with comments related to that? Council?
So we need a motion on that consideration.
It's been moved and
Second.
second. Thank you very much. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, guess we have Alderman Ambrose.
Thank you, Honor. We have someone from staff to clarify this.
Bruce Berger, Community Planning and Economic Development. This is part of the making the rail work a little bit more effectively up there by the transload facilities. So to do that, we need to acquire some land. So it'll be swapping some land with essentially John Deere. And so this is a motion setting a public hearing to try to be able to do that yet before the end of the year.
Thanks, Bruce.
Yep.
Anyone else from the council? I see Alderman Mattson.
And just want a lot of people are starting to talk about this, but this just is set the public hearing, not to actually do it. So,
Thank you. All clarified? Now, roll call, please.
Grip,
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Rawson.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Tompkins.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Mattson.
Yes.
Dickman.
Yes.
9 yeses, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Are there any public with business this evening? Seeing none, we do have a report of city officials. First of our civil service certification lists. Will an alderman move the list? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Any opposed, same sign. Those lists are received and filed. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Meeting adjourned.